Alright, let's talk about the build that I have been playing. First off, I leveled this build as Armor Brand Cremation. I used Maxwell's guide that Havoc made and leveled all the way through the campaign. It was super smooth leveling. But the build we're playing is Armor Brand Cremation. We are taking and we are converting our fire damage into chaos damage with our 2 consuming darks. These are the 2 pieces of gear that you need for this build to work. Reason being is that we're going to convert 60% of our chaos damage, or fire damage, into chaos damage. And then our chaos damage also has a 60% chance to poison enemies. With 2, 120%, we are capped on chance to poison. Chest piece we're using is Lightning Coil for a little bit of effective hit pool. Converting 50% of physical damage to lightning damage. That should help us stay alive a little longer. The build is super squishy. The build can only do blighted maps and blight-ravaged maps. Next, we're using Bisco's Leash. This is for the attributes cold resistance, and then we also get a 1% rarity per 15 rampage. It's easy for us to get 1,000 rampage and cap out. The only issue that I'm having right now in Blight-Ravaged is killing the bosses before my 1,000 rampage falls off. But if you can get that, you can get a pretty big explosion. Gloves, nothing special. Life, we want spell suppression. And then resistances, we want to make sure we have high lightning res because of the lightning coil. Boots, we're using Inexorable Fate. Reason being is that we take 45% reduced damage from crits, so that helps us with the EHP. And then all damage inflicts poisons against enemies that are afflicted by 3 grasping vines. Nearby enemies are going to gain it, so we're going to use this on bosses. They're going to get a grasping vine every 0.5 seconds, and also life and 30 move speed. Helmet, again, life, suppression, lightning res, and then fire and cold. We're using the cap. We want to make sure that we're suppression's capped. Right now, I currently not, but I have a few points that I'm going to pick up on the tree that are going to help me get suppression capped. If you wanted to use a rare boots, you wouldn't need to take those nodes on the tree. Or if you have a little bit of extra currency to spend, you can get higher rolls on your suppression and you won't have to take the nodes that I'm going to take. Next, I'm using 2 Elite Rings. One of them with Hunter Influence to get cursed enemies with Despair on hit. For this ring, I bought the cheapest Influence base, and then I re-rolled it with Harvest until I got a Hunter. And then I re-rolled Caster until I got Despair on hit. Ideally, we would want to use the Essence of Envy for the increased chaos damage until we got Despair on hit. But when I made the ring, I didn't have that much currency. And this is what we got. We got Despair on hit, Tier 2 Fire Res, and T1 Intelligence. I called it a day, crafted on minus mana cost, and moved on. Other ring, craft with Essence of Envy. We re-rolled until we got a tier of tier 1 or 2 resistance. We ended up getting a tier 5 of another, and we also hit T2 life, so didn't push my luck anymore. Crafted on non-channeling skills, called it a day. Amulet was literally just a life and resistance amulet, so that way I could cap out resistances. And the good thing was it came with energy shield and increased energy shield because we are utilizing Elder's Battery. So that way we have some mana to play with. We now have 418 mana right now. So that way we can cast our skills because we're taking and we are reserving everything. I literally have 1 mana left. Not to be confused with the creator. But that's it. Our flasks, we're using Sapphire Flask. We're going to use the Tri-LE Flask, Sapphire Flask with increased effect. We're doing, they're typically always on in Blighted and Blight-Ravaged maps. One with evasion, one with the reduced effect of curses, and then we have a sulfur flask with movement speed. We're using a life flask with corrupting blood, so that way we can cleanse ourselves of corrupting blood and bleeds. But this build is specifically designed to do blighted and blight ravaged maps. That is it. Do not try to map with this. It'll be terrible. The few maps that I did, it wasn't a fun time. So what we're going to do in the build is we are going to spam Desecrate, and we're going to blow up the corpses. Every time our cremation goes off, it's going to blow up the corpses. As long as this cremation is going, all we have to do is spam our Desecrate over the top of it, and it's going to continue blowing up the corpses. So just spam it over the top, and it just continues doing it. So that's our single target damage. That's our damage period for this build. We're also going to cast Bane to curse all the enemies. We're running 3 curses in this. The Despair on hit, which is the reason is because I'm too lazy to press another button. We're going to cast Bane, which has Temp Chains and Punishment, and it's also got Hexbloom support. So when our enemies die, it's going to transfer our hexes onto the surrounding enemies. So we're going to get into a map, but first I got to go check on my dogs. I just fed them. I will be right back, I promise. Alright, so we're back. I had this one rolled, but I want to show you guys what I'm doing, how I'm rolling the maps. We need to buy a couple Crimson Oils first. Where's Chaos? I cannot see. Oils, Crimson. I want 3. They're 9C. Okay, so we upgrade. So I'm gonna upgrade to get some Crimson Oils. I actually just sold off a majority of what I had. But always be upgrading your oils to the next tier, so that way you can sell them. Alright, so I need to buy 1 Crimson now. Much better. Crimson's being 2 apiece. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a map. Going to run 3 Ambers to reduce the building cost. 3 Sepia to reduce to make sure our towers deal 75% more damage. Currently, we still are lacking on damage. I've still only got a 5 link. We're going to get a 6 link. We don't have any Awakened Gems, nothing like that. And then we're going to use 3 Crimson. This is going to make 30% of our 36 Blighted chests lucky, and it's going to increase the pack size. Alright, so what I'm going to do is going to go get a chisel, 20% quality it, and then I'm going to roll this until I hit 80% and make sure that I don't have any mods that I don't like. So this one I normally would run, but the issue is that it has monsters cannot be stunned. That is a brick, as we rely on the stun and freeze towers, especially being in Blight-Ravaged, especially being right now, considering I do not have the best gear. So we're going to roll over that. 69, giggity. Movement speed is kind of scary, so we are going to re-roll over this. Cannot be stunned. It's a brick. And right now it's just looking for a decent map. I want to make sure it's got at least 80. So crit, life, life. Nothing scary on here, because if we get hit, we're gonna die anyways, right? We don't have the biggest EHP pool, but 80% item quantity, I'm happy with that. Let's go run it. We are also using sack frags. This also, I think it's 5% pack size per sack frag. When you get your other slots opened up, you can use 4. So we're going to run this map. Alright. So I like to, at the beginning, especially on Blight-Ravaged, I like to go and explore the map a little bit and reveal just a little bit of the map, not all of it, so I can kind of keep an eye on the lanes. I'm also going to come and put my portal over here, so that way I don't accidentally click on it. Key with Blight-Ravaged is to make sure that at choke points where a lot of lanes converge, we build our chill, freeze, and stun towers. That way we can keep the mobs in check. And then we use them with empowering towers. We're going to blow up these with a cremation. That's going to do that. This build just works, like I said, it's super simple. You throw a cremation out there, you blow everything up. Once these little balls hit the corpses, they then blow up those corpses again. The other key to the build to work in Blight-Ravaged is to make sure that you have Ring Anoints. If you do not have the Chilling Towers Freeze Anoint, and you don't have a good build, it's very hard to do. Unless you have a Giga Juice build, which right now we don't. I also like to build the Chilling Towers close to our tower, just in case things start to leak. Oh no. And because we're using Occultist and we get the pops, it's very easy for us to clean up all the areas. Because the chaos damage proliferates our pops. And then the other anoint we're using is the Meteor Towers leave Burning Ground. That helps us get around the fact that some mobs are immune to fire. And look at that poison. That was a good poison. But the Meteor Towers help us get around the fact that you're going to have some mobs that you're going to run into that cannot be affected by the fire towers. But the big key to these is to make sure that you don't get yourself overwhelmed and you just stay cool, calm, and relaxed. Build you some towers. It also helps because Rampage will spawn us little buddies sometimes. And as long as our cremation is going, we just continue to spam Desecrate. I probably don't need all these stun and chill towers, but I like to put them where we have lanes, just in case, God forbid, our lanes start to leak and monsters start to get through. We got a little bit of extra because they will pile up, especially with the bosses. And when you get a big back pile, it has no choice but to let the mobs through. And we're kind of stuck in that tower. Also, if you see that a boss isn't dying, you can build some more damaging towers around him. I want to kind of stay away from these guys right now. like to be super safe with mine, like I said. And like, look at that, we're almost done. We still got 11 seconds left. But we pretty much got this in the bag as long as we don't majorly screw up. But now that we are almost done, I'm going to start building more damaging towers to help speed this up, especially for these bosses. Right, because like I said, we don't do a lot of damage. We do a lot of dot damage with poison damage, but it's slow damage. And the key to, like I said, remember, every now and then click your Desecrate, well, your Cremation of Exhuming and your Desecrate to blow them up. But like I said, remember, we always don't have mobs for us to blow up. So it can be a little frustrating when you don't have the mobs around to blow up from the lanes. We got somebody else detonating our stuff. So there's a rare mob somewhere around here that was blowing up our own mobs. But we're just going to keep on spamming Desecrate, especially on top of the bosses once we put a Cremation on there. And then with these temp bubbles, guys, to kind of try to put something in there with them. Proximity bubbles kind of are not very fun to deal with. We're going to build another fire tower. We're going to build another one of these guys. But with the amount of points that we get to start the map, we shouldn't ever lose these. Especially now that we have anoints, good anoints. Got another guy who's got a proc shield. And that's it. That's our Blighted map. Blight-Ravaged map at that. Follow those puzzle box, baby. We're using a caster mastery that gives us a 25% chance. That's why we got that big pop there. And open all those at once. It's nice when it happens when you want it to. A lot of the times I click and click and click, and it doesn't. It almost makes me feel like I should have just clicked each one individually. But the mastery's working for me. But that's it. That's our Blighted map. Also, reason why I've been enjoying why we Blighted maps is because this big pump explosion here. All of these bases are I-86 bases. So, any good bases you should be picking up, so that way you can sell. Right now, the Val axes are going for a lot. Warlock boots. I'm pretty sure people are going to start using a bunch of energy shield stuff here soon. But pick up any of the Filter Blade has marked as A tier bases, and then sell those. Like Val axes, the snaking guys and the slammers are using these axes, and they're like roughly 10C a piece. So the 10C would cover my crimson oils that I had to buy for this map. But that's really it. And then also, too, I like to pick up these. Let's check some of our stuff. Not real good. So I like to pick up my ghastly jewels. Reason being is that you can take these, and I'll show this in another video, but you can do some cool crafts. I sell, with what I do in them, I sell these for about 30C a pop if I hit the right mods. So I'll have that on another video, a way for you guys to make a little extra money by simple crafts, nothing that's too scary. It's literally click a button a couple times, look for 2 mods, and you're good to go. But for now, I'm going to leave you with this video. As always, I appreciate everybody who watches and comments, subscribes, likes. Please like and subscribe. It helps me a lot, and it lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. And also lets the YouTube robot know that you guys enjoy this content and it's helpful. Thank you again.